So everyone knows that I love books, and that's part of the reason why being a children's librarian is so perfect for me, because I love books. Well, I wasn't feeling too good yesterday, and the doctors gave me some medicine. And about midnight last night, I got this burst of energy, and so I decided to see how many books I have on my shelves. Now, let me rephrase it. On my shelves, I actually have several books still in boxes that have not been put on shelves because I don't have enough shelving left for these books. So I got down to business with this burst of energy, and I counted every single book that's on a shelf here in my little basement apartment that I'm living in. I was quite surprised. I have 1,173 books, and that's just what's on the shelves. That's not including the books that are in boxes or the about 250 or 300 books that I recently sold or gave away. So I have a lot, but I thought it would be interesting for me to show you all how a librarian, one of your librarians, organizes books. Because when you go into the library, there are different sections. You have the children's section, you have the juvenile section, Kentucky section, sci-fi, fantasy, mystery, that kind of thing. The books are pulled to the end of the shelf so that people can find it more easily. I don't know. This is not a grammar video, so I'm not going to worry about it. But anyway, there's a system, and while my books are organized in a way that is, I guess, a system, it's a lot different than what you would find in the library. So I wanted to show you all, just to give you an idea, in how different having your own personal library, I guess, is from a public library. So here we go. If you've watched Storytime on Facebook Live while I've been here at home, you'll have noticed this area that is behind me. Usually you're only getting to see this part up here, but in reality there are all these shelves back behind. Now, these are all children's books. I wanted all the children's books to be together except for the ones that either wouldn't fit on this shelf or ones that I just wanted to have in my bedroom. So if we get a little closer, like, these are all books from my childhood. So these are the ones that I read over and over and over again. And I tried to group them either by book character or by author or by size. There's no set order for sure. The only books that are in order are those that are a series, like these Winnie the Pooh books or those Winnie the Pooh books. I also have right here I have the Boxcar Children. Down here I have Nancy Drew. My all-time favorite book series for children, Magic Tree House. Also, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of these, but Disney used to do Disney yearbooks. I actually found out recently that they still do them, but they don't quite look like that anymore. So yeah, these are all books that were important to me growing up. This section of books right here are children's books that I discovered either in elementary school or even some of them into my college years. So there's no set order to these necessarily. They're just children's books that I love and want to keep for when I have children one day. Another thing you'll notice, I don't do alphabetical order like we do sometimes when we're doing different groups of books or whatever. You may see books listed by alphabetical order, by author, or maybe sometimes by title. I don't like to do that because I like to do this. I like to put books in order by color, and one of the best examples of this is right here with my Disney books. I tried to do a rainbow effect, I guess. So that is one way that I do the children's books. So this section of books right here is really the only shelves that are exactly the way that I want them. I'm going to go show you the other ones right now. Okay, so this collection is probably my favorite to share with other people, and I don't actually let people take these books, share as in show them around to other people. This is my old book collection. There are books here dating back to the early to mid 1800s. I've got several collections here and different authors, from Dickens, Shelley, Emerson, Scott, Hans Christian Andersen's Stories for the Young. These books, I love old books. They're beautiful, and that's part of the reason why I have this collection. They're a little rough around the edges, obviously, but at the same time, you get to see all of this cool history, and like these right here, the great events of the Great War. I'm sure that some of these could be sold for maybe some money. I don't know if anybody would, I don't want to say a good amount of money, but there are people that buy old books, but I think I'm going to keep them because they're just so pretty and decorative. I love the gold on the books. And one of my favorites is actually one of the Great War books. They don't make book covers like that anymore. They do make pretty book covers now, but in my opinion, these old book covers are the best. Okay, so this shelf of books, there's a lot of books on this shelf that were in our house when I was little, and I would pretend that I was reading them. Like this was before I went to school. But my parents had a bookshelf, and like these top 3 sections, a lot of those books were on that shelf. Oh, there's my bagpipes. Some of these came along when I was a child, like these educational books, or maybe the Winnie the Pooh. Here's some more books that just won't fit on those other shelves. There's absolutely no set organization system on here. I read The Cat in the Hat earlier for our story time, and here is one of my old copies of the book. So yes, I do have some duplicates. Most of the duplicates that I have, though, are because I have a new copy and an old copy, like this old Green Eggs and Ham, or The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. I don't keep a lot of duplicates around just because I like to have space for new books. And yes, I still am buying books even though I work in the library. This one actually belongs to my dad from when he was little. So yeah, this shelf is just sort of a mixed up shelf. Okay, so these books right here are very important to me because they belonged to my grandmothers. They read to me from them quite a bit, and I actually learned how to read some from them. Now these 4 are the ones that I was read to out of, but my mama, this book was very important to her because she read it to my dad and his sisters when they were little. However, they had gotten rid of it, but she had memorized it. And so when I was little, she would say the words over and over again to the point where I had the book memorized. And She developed Alzheimer's later in life, and she would quote this book. And so for Christmas one year, my mom found the book for her, and now, since she has passed away, I have it in my possession. So these are some of the most important books that I have within my collection. I'm trying to get somewhere where you can see this shelf. Okay, so these are the shelves that are in my bedroom, and they're a lot different than what you would see in the public library. These books are in a certain order, but at the same time, they are not. So ignore my mess on my desk. I had to clean off some of the shelves. So starting up here, we have the entire collection of Little House on the Prairie books. It's taken me about 10 years to find all of those books, and some of them were super duper expensive because they just don't print them anymore. But we start up here with them, and this whole section basically is what would be considered either juvenile fiction or young adult fiction. If you go into a library, you'll also notice that the books are always pulled out to the edge of the shelves. I don't like that. I like my books to be at the very back of the shelf. The reason they're like that in the library is so that they're easier to find. They're not pushed all the way back. However, I have books that have, certain things that go along with the books. So if you've ever read Peter Pan, you'll know the significance of the thimble and the acorn. I have my pirate ship and this collector's cup. Down here on this shelf with my Harry Potter books would be my wand and this amazing bowl that has stuff in it that go along with the books. I enjoy putting items with my books that go with the books. Got a Dalek and a TARDIS next to my Doctor Who books. Unfortunately, my Dalek is broken at the moment, so I've got to get that fixed. This is the only sci-fi that I have, and it's all Doctor Who. Some fiction, what would be adult fiction, and then these are all mysteries. If you've never read the Cat Who series by Lillian Jackson Braun, would highly recommend these books. This is not all of them. There's about 40 of those books. They're so good. I love them. I started reading them in middle school, and I haven't quit yet. Then this sort of goes into my Christian fiction collection, which is pretty much just Jeanette Oak. Moves into biographies. I love reading biographies. And if you get down here, you'll see Mr. Rogers next to his books with my little pins that I got when I went to the museum in Pittsburgh. Then we get kind of into the finance, personal growth books, I guess you could say. And funny enough, I have my change jar right next to the personal finance books. That is on purpose. And then this entire one shelf is my collection of Christian nonfiction. When I wrote my thesis for my final honors class, I purchased a lot of these books, especially this entire top section, pretty much except for a couple of the books I purchased to use in my thesis. I wanted to have them on hand at all times, and I still read them and use them for my youth group that I am in charge of. So that's basically it. As I said, my shelves don't have a big... As I said, my shelves are organized in a way that makes sense to me. When you go into a library, you'll notice that they use the Dewey Decimal System to help organize their books. Books that are in the fiction section will be organized alphabetically by author's last name. But if you get into the nonfiction books, they have different numbers on them, and that just sort of helps put them in an order. That's so that everyone who comes into the library can understand where to find things and can learn how to locate items. When you're in your own home and you're organizing your books, that's one thing that you have a freedom to do that libraries can't. There are sometimes that I wish some books could be together on the shelves at the library, but I can't put them together because the Dewey Decimal System doesn't work that way. I can't just put them wherever. But here at home, I can put my books together however I want. And that's what makes having your own personal library so neat. I've seen people put books in order completely by color, height. There was an article recently of a library. Their lady came in to clean, and she organized all of the books on a certain section of shelves by height, and the library staff thought it was funny, but that would take a long time to fix. But at home, you know, you can do it by height, by color, alphabetize. You can do kind of what I've done and section off books that you love the most, or do different collections. I've kind of done that as well. But it's all up to you. And having books at home, even when I work in a library, I love having my own books here because I can never say that I'm bored. I can always come down here and find something. So I just wanted to share that with you, give you a little insight on what it's like to be a librarian that is quarantined. Not really quarantined, but you know, I am working from home quite a bit, and so I wanted you all to see my work environment. I'm still surrounded by books, so I guess that's a good thing. Just wanted to share that with you all. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe it'll give you some ideas on how to fix up your own home library. Thanks for watching.